Hey guys, welcome to TFL Classics. I have a super unusual video for you today because we are doing a classic old versus new. And this is the Trailblazer edition because what I have for you today is a 2005 old school body on frame Trailblazer and the brand new 2021 compact turbocharged Trailblazer. These two share a name and not much else, as we're about to find out. So let's kind of dive right into it, starting with the old one. Now, when you think of Trailblazer, this is the vehicle you think of. These are proper body-on-frame vehicles sold here in the US between model years 2002 and 2009. And they were sold under like 6 different names. You had the Trailblazer, there was the GMC Envoy, the Oldsmobile Bravada, the Buick Rainier, the Isuzu Ascender, I think that's 5, what am I missing? Oh, the Saab 97X. So these were all kind of badge engineered versions of the original Trailblazer. And like I talked about, they're big SUVs. You know, back in the early 2000s, SUVs were on fire, but not these small lifestyle things, old school, V8 powered, gas guzzling rigs. And that's exactly what this is. Now, this Trailblazer is a little bit unusual because it's an '05, kind of a base end car, but take a look at what's under the hood because it's not what you'd expect it to be. Now, I did say gas guzzling V8. This one doesn't have a V8 at all, actually. This is the base engine. Sorry, this is unscripted and edited. This hood catch is a little broken. This is the base engine, like I said. It's not a V8 at all. It's actually a 6-cylinder, but a super unusual configuration of a 6-cylinder, especially for GM in the mid-2000s. This is a straight 6, believe it or not. It's a 4.2-liter straight 6. It's called the LL8 engine. And they used a variant of this engine in stuff like the Hummer, the Colorado. Those were straight 5s, but the Trailblazer got the straight 6. Really interesting bit of history here. About 275 horsepower is what the manufacturer claimed, which is a lot more than I'd expect for '05 in a naturally aspirated engine, 4-speed automatic. Now, if you wanted a higher performance model, there was a 5.3-liter V8 and even a 6-liter V8 in the Trailblazer SS and the 97X Aero. So, a lot of different engine options. And the cool thing about this straight 6 and even the V8s is that they're pretty bulletproof. So you can say a lot of bad about Chevrolet, GMC from the mid-2000s. Their interiors, not great. Overall exterior design, pretty bubbly, but they knew how to build a truck. They really did. And these engines, be it straight 6 or especially the V8s, last a long time. As long as you feed them enough gas and oil, they'll kind of just keep on trucking. So the front end design, pretty traditional truck for Chevrolet, right? You've got kind of the dual stacked headlights, big chrome grille, bar right down the center, very kind of in your face, very demanding. Along the side, slight fender flares here, but you know, pretty flat sided. Of course, being the mid 2000s, you had to have those plastic rub strips to make it look kind of more tough and rugged. In the back, you get a little bit more bubbly, so it gets a little bit more roundy and kind of more roly-poly. But if you come down here, Alex, if you look underneath the back there, solid rear axle, independent front suspension, but solid rear axle, spare tire mounted underneath like a truck. The basic architecture of this is pretty truck-like, actually. But what's funny is this rides on the platform called the GMT 360. It's not actually based on like a Silverado or a Sierra. This was kind of its own platform, but body on frame still. Now the new one, let's talk about the new one. It debuted last year. People were extremely grumpy about it because they heard the name Trailblazer and they were expecting another Explorer competitor. The new one is tiny compared to the old one. This competes with stuff like the Mazda CX-30, the Kia Seltos. This is in a completely different league from the old one. That, in my opinion, is not such a bad thing because it's kind of a sign of the times, right? These big unfuel efficient SUVs are on their way out. Modern, sophisticated, compact crossovers, they're the new trend right now, and I gotta tell you, I really love this new Trailblazer. It is a lot of fun. It's a great design overall, and we took this off-road, Alex and I, who's behind the camera. It did really well, like properly amazed at what this would do. Now, obviously, a much different design in the front. still kind of have the stacked headlight design actually, if you look carefully, right? You've got the main beam down here with the running light and turn signal up here. This design pioneered by the Aztec, which is the same era as this old Trailblazer, but still have a little bit of reminiscence of that chrome bar that separates these double grills. Really handsome design. What they nailed on this car are the proportions. So it doesn't look too narrow, too stubby, too short, too tall, like something like the Trax does in my opinion. This is pretty brilliant. Along the side, the old one rear-wheel drive biased, four-wheel drive available. This new one, front-wheel drive biased, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive available. This is the all-wheel drive one, and let me show you what's under the hood. It's a little small in the old one. The old one is a 4.2 liter straight six. The new one also has an inline engine, but it has half the cylinders. This is a 3-cylinder turbocharged engine, 1.3 liters, 155 horsepower. I mean, come on, it can't get any more different than the old one. We're talking like 6-liter V8 America. This is small, it's efficient. It's surprisingly zippy at the elevation because it's mated to a 9-speed automatic. The gear ratios are pretty tight. It works really well in this platform. You know, 3 cylinders have a terrible reputation. Like, it's kind of like, if you mention 3 cylinders to someone in the US, they're thinking like taking a stack of rocks, sticking it in a blender, and then just horribly unrefined. This new one is really good. Like, get rid of the Geo Metro that you're thinking of. This new one is pretty refined actually, and it's quite zippy. So, difference, people, progress, not always a bad thing. Should we go inside? Let's start with the old Trailblazer. So obviously has a key still, right, with the detached key fob. Not all that unsurprising, and you have to put the key in the ignition. You get that classic bong from the mid-2000s General Motor products. But it starts up quickly, and it is super smooth and actually really refined. That's kind of the one thing I was most surprised about when I stepped in this vehicle, is like, straight six engines are just inherently well balanced based on their design, and this is no exception. But the interior, very bubbly, I think is the word for it. A lot of plastics, but I will say it's held up super well. I don't know actually how many miles are on this rig. Let's see if it'll tell me. No, I think the display has died. It's got a lot of miles, I think it's fair to say. We're probably talking like in the 150 range. This is one of our videographer's cars actually, and yeah, everything has held up well. So, I mean, people gave these a lot of hell back in the day for, oh, yeah, just all sorts of cheap, materials. But look at it. Like, none of the buttons have faded. Nothing is broken off of it. Everything still works like it should. So there's something to be said about kind of these McDonald's plastics that they used in here, right? Like, if a kid chews on this, it's probably going to hold up pretty well because it's the same kind of materials that they would use like Happy Meal toys. No, I'm just being facetious. But overall, like, it's very functional interior. Sliders for your heat and AC. But interestingly enough, take a look at this. Even though it's not automatic, 2-zone climate control. So both the driver and the passenger can have 2 different temperatures. You can start a tornado in here if you so desire, with the hot and the cold. Fan controls there. Big shifter. Look at this thing. Got a big meaty button on the side of it. That's very satisfying. And I love the steering wheel. This is very truck-like, very Silverado-like in that it's, it's nice to hold on to. It just feels satisfying. And the gauges are some of the best in the industry. This needs to come back. The full suite of analog gauges. Tachometer, speedometer, but also temperatures, battery voltage, oil pressure. It's all there all the time. Like, you don't have to go searching for it. You just glance down, if you've got oil pressure. Love that. Really a big fan of that. Also, take a look at this. Selectable 4-wheel drive. So you have 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. But even in 05, you had a 4-wheel drive auto. So you stick it in auto, and then the car will decide whether or not you need to engage 4-wheel drive. Very truck-like with the 4 low, too. So this is going to be pretty good off-road, I think, especially if you give it a little bit of a lift. Unfortunately, the wiper placement is look at that, like less than a centimeter below the four-wheel drive. So if it's raining really hard, you go to turn on the wipers. Oh no, I just put it in 4-low. Okay, obviously you'd have to be in neutral for that. But the point is that these at a glance are kind of easy to confuse. A lot of space in here though, you know, fairly large center console here. Old school parking brake. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's not high quality. You're not gonna get in this and be like, wow, is this a Mercedes? No, but it works. It does a trick. Let's check out the new one. All right. So the key in the new one, obviously keyless entry. It's push button start. So just simply get in, push the button. There goes that wee little 3-cylinder. Fires into life. This is a really nice interior actually. So this one is a active trim. I've got the sticker right here. This one specs in at $30,580, but for that price, you do get a lot of technology. You got a large infotainment screen right in the center of the vehicle. It's fast. It's easy to use. It's got, I believe, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is new on this vehicle, which is cool. A single zone climate control actually, excuse me, but it is automatic, so I can just push the auto button and then it will control the rest. Heated seats down here as well. This is your transmission selector. It's kind of one of the only similarities between this and the old one, right? You just grab this big handle, pull it back. Interestingly enough, it does have a button for all-wheel drive. So you can choose to run this car in front-wheel drive if you so desire. The idea being you'll save some fuel, or you can select all-wheel drive and it will distribute the power as it deems necessary. But overall, guys, like, what GM has done on this Trailblazer is really up their interior materials compared to a lot of their other products like the Equinox and the Trax. Like, take a look at the dash, right? Interesting design here. It's got a lot of curves in it. Real stitching across the center. I really like these seats. Very comfortable. You've got these denim inserts on the bolstering, which is cool. Denim inserts across the door. And then look at this copper finish. Like, this is premium stuff. A few years ago, this is what you'd expect to find in like a Cadillac or maybe an upscale Buick. But now, even the entry-level Trailblazer comes equipped with all these goodies. Let's talk about kind of the rear seats, trunk space, and then we'll finish her up. Now this one, of course, is equipped with a baby seat because that is how our videographer uses it, but let me hop in the other side. Yeah, very spacious, as you'd expect. It's a big SUV. Like, it's smaller than a Tahoe or a Suburban, right? But it would have been much bigger than, I don't know, what was the compact? Did they do a compact SUV in 05? What was that little thing called? Did they have the Jimmy? I think they did, right? I'm looking at a videographer.
I have no idea.
He's giving me a frightened look. I think they had like the really compact four-wheel drive that they did. At one point, anyways, you'll tell me in the comment section below because I'm being an idiot. But these were big SUVs and they still feel big today. We'll check out the trunk. One thing I like about these old school rigs is how easy it is to get into the trunk. You're not fumbling for some weird plastic push buttony thing. Look at that! Basically another door handle. Just grab that and it pops open. Like, why do you have to hide the trunk switch? I don't need to do this thing like to get it to open up automatically. Just give me a handle. A lot of room. Our videographer's got what's a trendy skateboard called?
A longboard.
A longboard, yeah, it's a longboard. He's got, of course, his stroller back here. What's this little cubby? Woo, look at that, even underfloor storage. That's pretty cool. I have not seen that before. Yeah, like done like that. It's a small hatch, but it works. And you'll even notice down here, big tow hitch. So this was rated to tow somewhere in like the 5,000 pound range. Pretty capable. And then of course, if you've got the bigger engine with the right gear ratio, you could tow even more. Now the new one is also rated to tow. It's a little bit less. It's 1,000 pounds basically if you get it equipped properly. But you can have a tow hitch on this new one. One thing I like about this, and I think Alex behind the camera likes too, is this like satin chrome that they've used out throughout. It's kind of like a modern interpretation on bling, but it's a little more understated.
It's like a dark chrome. It's really cool.
Yeah, a dark chrome. That's the word. Parking sensors obviously back here, and this is a case where I'm fumbling for a little switch. It's way down here somewhere. There it is. Good sized trunk for a small SUV. It's worth noting. Of course, seats do fold. Well, okay, they're supposed to fold if I had folded the headrest down, but they do fold down like that, and then come on. There you go, fold completely flat. Both the second row seats fold flat. Let's take a look at the second row while we're out here. Oh yeah, obviously a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller car, but not bad actually. Got a lot of headroom. It's not one of those horrible sloping coupe SUV things. A lot of headroom, pretty good legroom. Got a USB and USB-C port in the rear. You're not going to find that on the old one. I mean, you got like this is where the cost cutting comes in, right? Like this whole door panel is kind of crummy. They hid the little plunger underneath the what's that, the C pillar here. But yeah, it's not bad. My favorite part of this old one is actually, my favorite part of the new one is actually the contrasting roof. I love the white roof. It's overall a really cool looking car. The active trim, like you see here, it's got these hand-cooked off-roady tires. It's got a skid plate underneath, and it's ready to tackle the 21st century because much more fuel efficient. Let me get the sticker here. It's rated at 28 mpg combined, 26 city, 30 highway. The old one, you'd be lucky to hit like maybe 20. Maybe on a good day you could hit 20 even with the straight 6. So, two very different cars. Obviously not really in the same league. The old one was targeting a big family who maybe had a boat, and when gas was $1.99, although it's $1.99 now too, but back when it was consistently $1.99, this made a lot of sense. But nowadays, for the kind of the active lifestyle, the new Trailblazer makes a lot of sense. Urban environments, small families, it's great, it's efficient, pretty good off-road even without a low range like the old one, and I can't actually say a lot of bad about it. It's a little expensive, this one, but overall, it's a really fun little car. Now the old Trailblazer, you can pick them up for like $4 to $5 grand for a really nice one, probably, depending on your area. Quite reliable, quite capable, but, you know, obviously you're not going to have quite the same level of comfort and refinement that you would in the new one, although the luxury one's not bad at all. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Check out tflcar.com and stay here to TFL Classics because we have a lot more coming on the Trailblazer over at TFL Cars YouTube channel, and just a fun little impromptu comparison.